Hey guys, welcome back to Chat with Charlie. So for our special guest today, we have none other than the bass man himself. So give us a wave, Phill Court music. Hey.
Hey, nice to be on as well, Charlie. It's awesome. I've been listening to all of the other podcasts, and they're all going great. It's awesome.
Thank you. So we were saying before, but the first time I actually met you was at Hermes's gig, and Hermes has actually been on the show herself, so big ups. But you've actually been around in the scene doing loads, haven't you, before that?
I have, yeah. So sort of Hemez, sort of working with her, that's sort of a recent thing, really, in the last sort of 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
But I sort of moved away from sort of Cardiff music and Welsh music for a while,
Mm.
and it's only since sort of mid-pandemic to the end of the pandemic that I've actually come back into Cardiff, and
Mm.
I'm actually performing and playing for people, really, which is good.
Mm.
It's really fun.
Yeah. So like, when you say that you've only just come back to Cardiff, were you doing what more gigs in like London way then, was it, or was it?
Yeah,
Mm.
so for the majority of my career, I've been a touring musician.
Mm.
So I was in some awesome acts before in Wales, but then I sort of had to leave then because tour commitments,
Mm.
and they had me going all around Europe, UK, and over the
Nice.
world. Then sad.
Nice.
It's sad though that I had to leave some things behind, but it was really beneficial for me. I'm
Mm.
sort of back now because there's not much touring going on for myself.
Yeah.
So I'm just back in Wales, which is awesome.
Yeah. I was finding it funny with the touring stuff because I always remember the first sort of like the first time we had a lockdown. I know it feels like it just keeps happening now, but everyone cast your minds back to like May 2020. Um, like something that people know here. I used to live in Australia, and I still got friends and family over there, and I follow a few
Yep.
artists here in Australia. And I remember 2020, we're a lockdown. It seems like the whole world's locked down, and then there's artists that are going on tour in Australia. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why? How come you guys get to do that? So yeah, and obviously I perform a lot. Not probably not as much as
Yeah.
you, but
Maybe not.
yeah, maybe not. But I was like, I just like had that urge to get back just to perform, and I'm seeing people performing in Australia, and I'm thinking, yo, we're not doing that
Yeah.
in the UK. Um, like, even separating the UK because for those who don't know, we're both in Wales, aren't we?
Yeah.
So currently we cannot perform gigs unless people are in tables of six,
Yeah.
and no dancing. So how's that
No
affected
dancing.
you?
Oh, it's affected me hugely,
Mm.
especially the dancing bit, because I like to dance when I'm at gigs anyway. But for
Yeah.
actually doing gigs myself, it's just not financially viable for promoters or venues or for the musicians
Mm.
at the moment to actually put the gigs on, sadly.
Mm.
There's one or two sort of going ahead,
Mm.
but everything's just sort of collapsed in on itself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's
Mm.
really terrible.
I mean, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, things have changed. So if you're listening back in
Fingers crossed.
retrospect, you might think, "Oh, what? This is the beginning of January." By the way, if people are wondering where we're at, because I was speaking to DJ Jaffa as well, because he was saying that he's as a DJ, he's kind of become background music now rather than
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
forefront. Because you being a bassist and stuff, you could play like kind of like in Star Wars, they got the band in the corner.
Yeah.
I suppose you could do that, but I know it's just not the same. I just know that.
No. No.
But
I think I done my first sort of sit down audience in Narberth with Mr. Boulay,
mm,
and it was just a weird experience.
yeah,
It was packed, the crowd were loving it, but everyone was just sat down,
mm,
and it was just a weird atmosphere for all of the acts. It was awful,
yeah. I've done
just not right.
I've done a few like that before as well. To be fair, that was usually when I was like youth clubs, like when things first started opening up again. Last year, again, it just feels like cycles now. It's like, oh, when they started
Yeah.
opening up, but it must have been May 2021. I got asked and paid quite well as well. So I don't forget that. Like honestly, my old youth club I used to have up in Lancashire, more music. Um, they received they got some funding for things like this, but
Oh,
did
that's
an
good.
amazing job. But it was outside, so people could perform outside in England, and
Yeah.
people sat down on like the little like lunch tables. And
All right.
to be fair, it was quite nice. It was actually quite nice. I did like a more laid back set, but everyone was
That's nice.
smiling, enjoying the sun was out. Everyone was friendly and happy, so it was good. again, I don't know, like when things opened up last year, like would have that been about the time you were performing again? Then May, I would take it.
Yeah, just about. Sort of things were a little bit slow, just because the acts I were with, we were just sort of putting the sets together. But we did do a lot of work sort of during the lockdowns to get live sets ready.
Yeah.
But with the introduction, because the restrictions sort of went down a little bit, sort of got more musicians involved and could sort of widen the scope of the things that we were doing then. But yeah, about that time. And the gigging was great then. Doing all the shows, it was really fun.
Yeah, because like, I noticed myself, like I got a couple of gigs crossing England before I got any in Wales, which is weird.
Yes,
when that happens.
Yeah.
Bristol, I had one, and then obviously the one I mentioned before was up in Lancashire. But it was, I think it must have been about August by the time I started performing again in Wales, which is a bit late.
Yeah, I think that was about the same for me. I mean, throughout my whole career, I've hardly gigged in Wales.
Yeah.
I've done about 100 shows in Wales compared to like a few thousand in like England and further afield. So it's quite a weird feeling, sort of gigging in Wales. I enjoy it, but yeah, it was about that time, sort of things were opening back up. But it was great. It's really good fun.
Yeah, no, I loved all of the gigs. There were a couple I saw you at Porters, which had been run by Forte. We were mentioning before. I think we've got to talk about him. Mr. Bewley, he did again, he was the first guy I interviewed on this podcast. But that performance,
wow, that's cool.
That performance, I mean, that was quite spectacular, to be fair, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. He's just, what a showman, really. He's just a pure frontman showman.
For those who weren't there, he had a big, like, 6 foot the flag, and he's waving it around, and he's like...
And he had a glass of wine in the other hand.
I know.
And that was going everywhere.
Spilling
Absolute nightmare. It looked great, probably from the crowd, but from like the stage perspective, it was carnage and chaos.
I know. If he smacked you with that, but yeah, I mean, you can see all those who are watching on Spotify, listening on Spotify, not watching. You probably can't see, but Phil's actually got like an array of like bass guitars behind him.
Oh yes.
I'm hoping now that this isn't just a green screen on Zoom. That would be very disappointing. But for those who can't see it, just quickly go through. Do you have like a favourite bass guitar of those lot?
Kind of. So I'm a collector of sort of vintage and rare bass guitars and instruments. So I've got a collection of around about 140 at the moment. But these ones behind me are the ones that I use the most. But my favourite at the moment for work is that green one. Yeah. They had custom made. And that's the one I use for the majority of sessions and live stuff to a certain extent. And it's the one that sounds the best for like neo soul, R&B, hip hop, anything like that. But the one that sort of started my career off, sort of in Wales, really, with an act you might have heard of, is this one. And this is sort of a really old beaten up one based off the first bass that I ever used. I used to use that when I was in an actual band called Dead Method. Oh, wow. Yeah. So there was 3 of us. So we had Minas, me, and Lloyd singing. And we were a trio for quite a few years. And that's sort of the band that I left then when I was touring and sort of moving away from Wales. Yeah. Sadly. But looking at them both now, their careers are just going incredible speed.
Minas is everywhere. Minas is just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's just walking around Cardiff and his face is everywhere to start with.
It's like fairly... I've never seen him live, but obviously props to Minas, although I feel like I'm the only hip-hop artist in Wales he hasn't worked with. No, it's all love. I haven't seen him live, but again, everyone says just an amazing live performer, Minas. Every show I do, he seems to be DJing for every other artist.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah. So he had a great show in Porters not too long ago.
Yeah,
with his band. Greg, the drummer, who's a childhood friend of mine, and his brother Alex on bass, who's another childhood friend of mine, but one of my best bass students as well. Nice. Just an incredible live performance, the energy and just his eclectic sort of music taste, and just the refinement and what he does when he's writing tracks is just astounding to this day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, so big ups to him. But I remember the first time seeing is Lloyd in it, Death Method, his name, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lloyd, there you go. I do remember a thing or two. Me and him actually performed at the same event just before things locked down. We performed at the Big Gig Cardiff 2020.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, I've mentioned it a couple of times before. There's a couple of controversies, but we're not going to go into that today. But yeah, I remember you say again, great performer. He's got like these like heels on when he's performing. I'm like, how the hell are you staying up with those? Like, I'd be tripping up everywhere. And I think that set was DJ'd by Minas, but like Minas wasn't playing any instruments.
Oh, okay, yeah,
or anything. But yeah, no, that was cool to see. That was a good thing about that Big Gig Cardiff, though, because there was a variety of different acts that were performing. So there were a couple bands, there were a couple solo artists like myself. But it was, it was all brought together. I don't know if they're going to do another one anytime soon. Despite the my personal sort of feelings on the event, I didn't get through to the final. Needed the Glass Jackets. I think it was Glass Jackets. Yeah, I know they put on the best performance of the night in my opinion, and they still didn't get through. That's what I mean. But would I do it again? Probably yeah, because I just enjoyed that. It was at Fuel for starters. I've never performed at Fuel before because it's been like a rock club. And yeah, I just brought loads of energy. It was just everybody loved it. The whole crowd were really receptive. I mean, my feedback said I was the most energetic and engaging actor the whole weekend. So I was like, fair dues. I mean, when considering there was like Nigel and stuff who were on after me, to be told I was the most energetic was, a good compliment.
That's amazing.
I need to get my cardio back up now, though. But yeah, man. Yeah, and enough about that, though. Have you got solo music, by the way? I might have missed this.
Oh, not really. So I do write tracks and compose, but it's mainly for film and TV work. Yeah. Nothing sort of self-released. I've sort of been sitting on stuff for quite a while, though.
Yeah.
That maybe 2022 is the year that I sort of push it out. Maybe. I'm still not sure. Sort of just being a musician, sort of being a perfectionist. So I've been sat on things for like 7 years. And never released anything sort of under my own name.
Yeah.
But maybe this is the year, though. Maybe this is the year. And that's an eclectic mix as well. It goes from jazz to neo-soul to like solo bass stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it's all a big mix, really.
Yeah. I was remembering this because in the band that you work with, I know it was with Hermes, but I think that Mia plays with you with Mr. Bullier as well, does she?
Yes, we're basically the same band. Working for two people, it's great.
Yeah. But I didn't realise she had actual music out herself, and I feel bad saying this. I mean, shout out to Mia, she's amazing. But I remember checking it out. I'm like, yo, this is sick. And then I'm thinking, no,
it's awesome. Awesome.
When you see, this is for the people now, but when you see an act performing live, although obviously the attention's on the front man, for example, with Mr. Bewley, he's there with his flag. It's pretty clear that everyone's going to be looking at him, and he's got his thorn crown on and stuff. Obviously everyone who's in that band has their own sort of. This sounds like some sort of philosophical shit now. It's just like everyone's their own individual person with their own individual talents in the band. But they truly are.
Very true, though. It is true, yeah, absolutely. I mean, sort of performing live with Hermes, and sort of there's 4 of us sort of in a backing band now.
Yeah.
We're all doing our individual stuff, but as we sort of come together, it's pure sort of musical magic on stage. Then everything just sort of syncs together, and we all sync up, and it's just incredible. But that's just sort of goes to show how great the musicians are in her band. They're just amazing, absolutely.
Yeah, nice. Who was it? Who's the other guy? By the way, you probably should give him a shout. So we've got Mia.
Yes, I should. Yeah, so
Albert,
Mia on guitar, Al Branton on drums, and Francis George on keys.
There you go. So big up.
And me on bass.
Yeah,
and me on bass.
Phill on
keyboard bass as well.
Yeah, you got the synths for it. I was gonna say, just quickly scooting back though, when you said about making music for like TV and stuff, is that like sync deals? Is that like sync placements?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done it for a few adverts,
nice.
sort of syncs, and normally sort of indie film sort of soundtracks. Not normally, I've only done one full film soundtrack. Normally it's just sort of like little stings here and there for certain scenes. But that's sort of written up properly with sheet music and stuff. And then other people record it 9 times out of 10. But, you know, it pays the bills, and it's something that I've always been interested in since I started studying music. But 2022 might be the year that I release stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, because funny enough, there's this app called TikTok. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I'm scrolling through TikTok. I don't do it a lot. I'm just trying to be a bit more active on the app because it's just, I don't know if you've heard, there's like more people have visited TikTok than Google last year. More hours are spent in the UK watching TikTok content than watching YouTube content. I'm thinking,
crazy.
I've got to be
crazy.
You know, I've got to try and get on this. But there's some guys talking about sync placements and sync deals for music because a lot of people, being musicians, are coming to it and they think, right, cool, how am I going to make an income off of this? How am I going to support myself? And you know, like you yourself, you've got like loads of different avenues. I've got your business card somewhere. You're teaching bass, you're performing, you've got your sync deals. But a lot of people just don't know about these different routes. So like, how have you found different ways to fund your career?
Basically, it's just sort of out of perseverance and sort of getting knocked back through different avenues of my career. So I teach bass guitar and music theory and singing and things like that. And that's sort of a big sort of start for me. But other avenues then sort of directing bands as an MD. And that could be anything from like cruise work or like sort of pop acts, or even pantomime, which I was supposed to be doing sort of over Christmas, but was sadly cancelled. But then, you know, writing music, getting the placement in, that's the most difficult part of that. Session work, that's my biggest sort of income stream at the moment. And has been for about 4 years now. And it's the greatest job in the world. It's just about diversifying yourself. Same with like the instruments that I play. I don't just play bass guitar. I play upright bass, double bass, and I play bass synthesizer as well. And that's, you've got to diversify. Otherwise, you'll either get sort of left behind or your income just isn't manageable with what your sort of expectations are. It's still a really hard business. It really is. It's getting harder every day, essentially. It really is.
Sometimes I do wish the days of sitting on the street corner handing out CDs are still about. I mean, you can still do it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it's just that's like, for me, feels more like I'm more that sort of spirit than going to TikTok for 15-second clips to try and promote either your music, be your service, or, you know.
Absolutely. Like I got my first recording session when I was 17. I put a really cheap sort of normal like photocopier paper business card in Crean's Music in Cardiff. And that's where I got my first sort of recording session from. And it sort of spiraled slowly. It took a lot of years to sort of build up. But I'm just thankful for the work and thankful to the artists that I get to work with over an incredible amount of genres. It's amazing just playing new music every day. It's awesome. And the people you meet as well, like yourself. If I wasn't hired to work with Hermes or Boulez, I probably wouldn't have been gigging in Porters. I haven't in years. And I would have met you.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to say it just yet, but it is kind of like rest in peace Porters. I think October, isn't it, is when it's finally goes for good. I'm a bit gutted about that. But like you say, it's just amazing meeting all the people that come there. There's so many brilliant, like, different acts, different talents, just even people who just like, shout out to Connor. I don't know if he's watching this. I don't know if you've seen him. His name's CW, the guy with the red hair.
Yes.
Every gig he's there, and every gig he's supporting. And like, he's a proper sound guy. Like, that's why if I see him at a gig and I'm there, I'll take a picture of him just to be like, thank you for turning up.
It's an Cardiff, or in general, sort of the Welsh music scene. It's just amazing. It really is. It just spans so many genres, and sort of you see your regulars just sort of popping up at gigs you're going to or ones that you're performing at. And it's just great seeing friendly faces just everywhere. It's just amazing. and just all the other acts as well. We just support each other. It's just amazing. It really is.
Yeah. That being said, though, is there anyone who we will know, like that most of the listeners here would know that you've worked with when it comes to your bass stuff? Any big names?
A few over the years. Not in Wales, sadly. A few people in Wales, but not many. But sort of big names that I've worked with would be Mark Ronson. Nice. I did one bass track with him and one live performance at the O2.
Wow.
Which was amazing.
Man.
I wasn't supposed to do the performance at the O2.
Yeah.
I was just filling in for a friend. It was for some, I can't remember which award ceremony it was. But I was just playing the same bass line over and over. It was just like a loop.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult to do that on stage.
Yeah.
It's like the easiest thing to play in the world. But
yeah,
you can't see the crowd at the O2 either because of the lights and because of all of the cameras. So it was just deafening the crowd. It was absolutely incredible. But from that, Jesse J, I worked with sort of quite early on, and quite a lot. So one of my main sort of reoccurring session work is doing label sort of demos.
Yeah.
So labels will get in touch and want to put a demo together for an artist who's upcoming or is thinking of releasing something new. Yeah. So we all go to the studio and lay down the work. 9 times out of 10, I don't know who it's going to be used for, sadly. Unless occasionally they will come in and sort of say hello and sort of want a little bit more sort of a hands-on approach with their tracks.
Yeah.
But not very often. And sort of early on in my career, when I was really young, this is a big mistake that I made, and I'll urge every musician not to do this. If you get offered royalties or an upfront fee with no credit, definitely take the royalties. You'll be thankful of it later. That was one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was working for quite a few people early on in my career. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's weird. Not to be that guy, but with a lot of the work I do, I don't take royalty simply because I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, when I'm making beats, I do. Yeah. But when I'm a lot of the time when I've been rapping for clients or making songs for clients, I haven't, because it's just easier as like a sales thing just to get it foot through the door. And
that's fair.
It is like I do understand that maybe one or two of the people I've worked with, it would have maybe been better. But when it comes to a lot of these people who's putting tracks out on Spotify, I'm thinking like, cool, they've got to get like 500,000 streams before it pays my part of the track. And honestly, most of these artists aren't getting that when I look at who I'm working with. But,
no, that's very true.
I did make I don't know if I can say this or not. I did make a demo for Listerine. And it was just like the little the project management. They're like, we're scouting for some ideas for TikTok. This is one of the things that made me think like, yo, I've got to get on TikTok. Listerine are on TikTok. And I'm not going to say what the idea was, but they wanted me to create a few like ideas for that. So I created an idea for them. They paid me an upfront fee for the idea, but I'm under the impression that if they want to take it further, they'll obviously contact me and then we can discuss something beyond that. But it's, they're just collecting ideas from everywhere. But it's kind of cool to say that to say that I've done that. But
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. But no, if you're looking at royalties, you've got to sort of look at it as an investment opportunity for your future.
Yeah, 100%.
So like I was young, dumb, and wanted the cash rather than sort of notoriety and sort of fame to a certain extent. Or like I worked with, I can kind of say the people, one ginger-headed guitar player who sings by himself a lot.
Wonder who that could be.
So I did a track.
That's mad.
Session fee up front.
Yeah.
Sadly, but mistakes are made.
That's crazy though.
Things like that. Working with Tinchy Strider as well. That was awesome.
Throwback.
That was one track. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I nearly worked, I don't know if you remember them, Rizzle Kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
They were an amazing group, bro. They were an amazing
There were
group.
talks about them coming back, you know, on Twitter. I
I
saw.
know.
That would be sick if they did. That would be like nice and
I'd
fun.
absolutely love that.
But yeah,
That'd be
Rizzle
amazing.
Kicks. I think I was still in primary school when they were about.
Well, I'm 30 this year,
Oh
so
wow! Don't look it, man.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm there. Like I'm 21. I'm still a baby. You know, there's people who forget that. Yeah. So I've still got a lot to learn and a lot to go. But I think being
You're doing well.
Thank
You're doing
you.
really well.
I think though, you know, we've got this sort of, I wouldn't say address the elephant in the room, but being a bass player from Cardiff, and obviously we're both like neo soul fans. A little bit of the old
Yes.
Pino,
Oh,
his bass work obviously on Voodoo, incredible.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Absolutely incredible.
just yeah, I'll just say your thoughts on him.
Oh, so sort of being Welsh
Hmm.
and being a bass player, I sort of got into Pino a little bit later
Yeah.
in sort of my studies.
Hmm.
But I've got a very good story to sort of finish this section off, which I think you're going to be amazed by.
Nice.
But yeah, essentially, I was sort of brought into his playing via sort of his work with John Mayer to start with,
Yeah.
which still has that deep, deep groove.
Hmm.
And especially in a trio format was incredible. But sort of doing my research and going back through sort of decade by decade,
Hmm.
project by project. I think he's probably the second most recorded bass player of all
wow.
time. It's absolutely incredible. But he's worked with everyone.
Yeah.
But going back sort of to the start of his career with bass players at that time, he was working with Paul Young, Gary Newman, Go West.
Hmm.
That's the reason that I got that bass there.
Hmm.
It's the same bass that he used back then, which is all fretless and just really funky and just 80s, just sort of cheesy pop stuff, which is incredible.
Nice.
But then the 90s came along and that all changed.
Mm.
And just his timing, his sound, his feel, his note choices, just on Voodoo, just use that as the greatest example of all time.
Yeah.
You can't beat it. You really can't beat it.
I just love that album so much.
It's the greatest, or one of the greatest. But for me, just the feel of it, his playing. You look at him and he looks so out of place.
Yeah.
And when he's
That's true.
talking as well, he's got this thick Whitchurch accent.
Yeah.
And he's just grooving away and just doing the most incredible work. Just my number one bass player at the moment and has been for years. But just a heavy influence on my playing. Not just in sort of neo soul R&B hip hop, but in sort of all of the genres that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've met him quite a few times.
Oh, wow.
And had a few private lessons with him as well.
Wow.
Yes. Didn't learn much really, we were just sort of talking and sort of use some of the basses and things. But I did sort of pick up on the groove and the feel and the not overplaying from him. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. But he's worked with everyone and still does.
Yeah.
Absolutely still does. I'm talking to my friend Andy from Andover, and he was in Abbey Road on Monday. And Pino walked in because he was doing an album in one day. One day. Yeah.
Man.
He's the guy that you get in.
Yeah.
He's the guy that you get in. But when your day rate is 25 grand,
Whoa.
you know you're going to get the job done.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We were, I mean, if you've got the money for it. I mean, this is sometimes maybe something we'll cover later, but I was thinking like all these big names, like if they really wanted to create like the best album going, and I know people have got different tastes or whatever, but someone could be like, right, cool, I really like What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. Like in this day and age, they could just create an album that like, I'm not saying, but before I clear it, like you could get to like 95% of that level with the tools they've got, but then they choose just to go to a pop route. It's like, like what? Like some TikTok music, bro. You could have made a classic, but Pino and Questlove and all that. Oh, what's her name now? There was a singer who released an album. They're all over it. Is it Yeba? I don't know if it was Yeba or someone else.
Might have been.
Yeah, I check now. I know she had a whoever this is. I forget the name. I'm gonna have to have a quick look. They had a track with Smino, and I think.
Oh yes. Oh, Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely incredible.
Was it you who told me, or was it someone else? It might have been someone else who told me. They were like, "Oh yeah, Questlove, Pino, and all this are on this album." I'm just like,
Yeah,
really?
it's just phenomenal. Yeah. Well, Pino started he's releasing or has released his own music for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
It's very out there, sort of heavily jazz influenced and sort of experimental. But everything he plays on is gold.
Yeah.
Essentially, this conversation, everything.
Yeah.
Watermelon Sugar he played on.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. All of Adele's stuff. All of Ed Sheeran's stuff now.
Oh, wow.
So that's my tiny little connection there. But it's all gold. It's absolute gold. But another one to sort of keep your eye on is Pino's son, Rocco Palladino, who is big in London. Yeah. Absolutely huge. Working with Tom Misch, use of Days.
Oh, nice.
Everyone. Absolutely everyone. And he started playing for D'Angelo at the moment.
Ooh.
Sort of taking over the reins from his father.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen.
Oh, I just wanted another D'Angelo album. That would be so good right now.
It's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen. It really is.
He did play a new track when he did the... it was kind of a versus. I know he did like an Instagram live thing. And there was one new track in his set. I didn't really catch much of it. But, I mean, that shows that obviously there's new music coming. But as long as it's not...
fingers crossed, bro. Fingers crossed.
14 years again. I'd be like, I'm kind of fortunate I wasn't like a D'Angelo fan until after that album had come out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was like 14 when that album came out, so I'm not really bothered by like that type of music. So I kind of missed the big wait. So I'm grateful.
The best thing was sort of, I can't remember if it was 2008 maybe, at Bonnaroo Festival.
Yeah. And
they got Questlove got the band back together, and it was D'Angelo's first performance in so many years. Yeah. So many years, sort of part of the Super Jam there. And it was incredible. It really was. It was just, the crowd, the reception from the crowd and the other musicians watching. It was the greatest thing ever. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was.
Who knows if we'll get to see him perform again, though? Who knows?
Yeah, I want. If he comes to the UK, he's like one of the people. Because even if he's only doing a show in London, even if he's only
coming with you.
Yeah, I know, man. Even if he's only doing a show in London, I'd make the trek to go and see him if that was the case. I think he's one of only a few artists who I do that now for. I did it for Tyler, the Creator, when he did his tour for Eagle, and I remember everyone was like, first off, it sold out first 2 days straight away. And then they added a third date, and I was lucky enough to get it. But everyone was like, "Oh, don't worry, he's going to be doing loads of festivals anyway. I'll just see him when he does the festivals." This was the end of 2019 when I saw him. So I managed to catch him when he was doing his Igor tour. You know, he's got the blonde wig on, he's got the suit and all that. By the way, this is one of like the top 2 performances I've seen live. He was incredible. But obviously all the festivals got cancelled, so nobody else got to see him. So grateful for that. And then another act that I really enjoyed live, you'll probably like as well, Anderson .Paak, when I saw him in Part Life. And I forget, I should have remembered who it was, but he had someone different from his normal bass player for his Part Life performance. I can't remember now, but again, incredible.
Like, I'd only travel to see probably Tom Misch, which I am hopefully in March.
Nice.
Because I'm over in New York doing work.
Oh, nice.
And it's sort of kind of extending my stay.
Yeah.
Sort of see him perform.
That's cool.
Because I've never seen him perform live.
Yeah.
Him, D'Angelo, obviously.
Yeah.
And Thundercat. I've seen Thundercat perform once. I need to see him again. I just need to.
He was at what was that festival that we just had? Was it Green Man? Yeah, I remember looking through the list.
I missed out.
I'm not looking through.
That close.
You'd probably get on guest list somewhere, surely.
They weren't doing it. They weren't doing it because of COVID. Because they didn't want so many people backstage. Otherwise, I would have. That's how I missed out.
But it was kind of like, I'm looking through all these acts. I'm like, they're not. That's not usually what I listen to, or whatever. And I just see Thundercat there, and I'm just like, what?
I know.
Hang on a minute.
Just out of nowhere.
I know.
Like no one. I didn't expect him to be like performing a Green Man. I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. I've got all of his back catalogue in vinyl. So I'm just
nice.
like, okay, let's try and get in. But no, it just didn't work, unfortunately.
I love like of all the tracks he's done. Although, like, don't get me wrong, it's Pimp a Butterfly is one of my favorite albums of all time, and there's all of these
Yeah.
like there's unreleased tracks that he's done with Matt Miller, by the way, as well on Balloonerism. There's a few Thundercat and Matt Miller tracks, but the one that always kind of stuck with me is Colours and Shapes off of Faces by Matt Miller.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about that song. It just hits a certain emotion that I don't think like any other song really. Like, and it's like the bass and the guitar in that track, and then just sort of the it's hard to describe, but it's really trippy.
It is hard to describe, but I know exactly. Yeah, I know the feeling that you're feeling. I really do.
Yeah,
just incredible musicians, just all of them.
Yeah,
but yeah,
no. I think the only other acts that I would go travel to see, Outkast. Probably never going to happen.
Oh my god, yes.
But I'm so gutted. I literally started getting into Outkast like the end of 2014, like 14-year-old Charlie J. And then they did obviously the reunion like 20 years tour, like summer 2014. And I'm just like, missed that. I was like the biggest Andre 3000 fan. He's not releasing music, and I'm just like, and then I would travel to see Kanye. I think I would again now because I think for a bit of time when he was too focused on the Jesus King stuff, and it was like, the choir's cool, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it wasn't the same. It wasn't the Kanye we all knew and loved. I saw the recent performance he did for that Free Larry Hoover concert, and I'm not gonna lie, like the energy the guy brought on the stage. When you realize how many hits he's got, like every single song, every track is hitting. I'm thinking, I need to see this guy. And when I look at like videos of the Yeezus tour, he brought like a big mountain on the stage with him, and he's got all these dancers, and it's just incredible.
It's incredible.
So I feel like
my friend Chelsea, who is a upright bass player, an electric bass player, and a music arranger and copyist, worked on his performance at the Hollywood Bowl 2 years ago, and she said it's the most incredible experience working with him. He's so humble and listens to every musician there, tries to take in as much information as possible. So she was with like all the double bass players because they had a full orchestra there, and he was like coming up to them saying, exactly what are you doing on this part? That sounds awesome. How do you do that? How does it work with like this chord and that chord? How does it all come together? And he just went around everyone, and it's incredible. I'm a big Yeezy fan, to be fair. I don't know if I would travel to see him. Maybe though. Maybe. I think the circumstances had to be right. Yeah. The performance would have to be right. I'd want to know what I was getting into first, I think. Yeah. At this moment in time.
Yeah. I think I know artists like that for me is Kendrick, dare I say it. I know there's people who are going to be a bit like, ooh, but I'm not going to lie. When I saw him in Manchester, in the Manchester Arena for the Damn tour, I wouldn't say I was disappointed, but it was a bit lackluster. I know there's people who probably be attacking me for this. I've seen videos of his performance at the Day in Vegas festival, and he had the full. He's got the full band. He's got all the dancers, and he went back and he did tracks from Section 80, and more from To Pimp a Butterfly and stuff. But Damn is an album I want to like, but for some reason, I enjoy it, but just not like his older work. I much prefer him. I much prefer him to be performing stuff from Section 80 To Pimp a Butterfly. Like my favorite track off Damn, he played the instrumental off it, which is Feel. I love that track, but he didn't actually perform it live. And I'm kind of like if he perform, I think he from To Pimp a Butterfly he only did All Right and King Kunta. But I wanted him to do, if he'd done like These Walls or Institutionalized, or just the stuff that's a bit more funky, or like Wesley's Theory, The Back of the Berry. I'm just thinking all these tracks that would have been so much better than Loyalty or...
Unfortunately, sort of as an artist, you can't sort of accommodate everyone, sadly. But sort of... That's why I want to know sort of what I'm getting into sort of when I go to shows a little bit. I like surprises, obviously. Yeah. But like if I'm going to see someone, I'd rather know what's going to happen, really. Just so I can plan my emotions for the gig.
I tell you what, we weren't ready when we saw Frank Ocean for that. I tell you what. Yeah, again, I'm glad I've seen him as well. There's a few acts I've seen that have been like. What about yourself, though? I know I've just been rambling on about acts I've seen and getting your feedback, but who's your favourite of all the acts you've seen? Like top 3 that you've seen live.
Oh, I don't get to see many acts because I'm normally out performing when other people are performing, sadly. But top acts, Bruno Mars.
All right, wow.
Bruno Mars, absolutely. His showmanship, for one, and his band are the tightest and most incredible backing band in the music industry at the moment.
Oh, wow,
they
nice.
really are. Their choreography, their sound, their live versions of songs that differ so much from the album, and they're just jazzed up, funked up, just incredible. So Bruno Mars, definitely, absolutely. Oh, probably, and this is going to be a really sort of weird and sort of out there sort of performance, but it was Queen and Paul Rodgers.
Oh.
Back in the day. It's a really, really weird sort of gig to put in there. It's my top 3. But it was just Brian May, the guitarist of Queen, Roger Taylor, the drummer, the other musicians, and Paul Rodgers doing all of the singing. And it just worked.
Yeah.
Worked. And the crowd was amazing, but just sort of come out of sort of left field. Like, just weren't expecting much, but it's in my top 3, definitely. Nice. Another one would probably be... Oh, this is tough. This is tough. Oh, Dr. Mika from Bristol. Big house, trap, club, big bass beats with his full band.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, and it was at Aston Park in Bristol. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Just bouncing, just the crowd, the floor, the stadium was just bouncing, just incredible. And his band again were amazing. Didn't have much sort of going on band wise. His bass player Dan is amazing, and he had this awesome horn section coming in with like the main licks and stuff. It was incredible. But yeah, sadly I don't really get to see many live artists, unfortunately, because when they've got shows going on, I'm normally like next door doing a show or something.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Which is because I wanted to see Corey Wong and Wolfpack.
Wolfpack.
Tom Misch as well. I'm still hopefully trying to get that sorted.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
I found it funny when we went to see. Well, I say we, it was me and one of my mates. We went to see Laurel Kana at the Students' Union in 2019.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was after he performed Damselfly, and Tom Misch is on that. And you can tell the audience there, like everyone's like they're all like Tom Misch fans. I feel like whenever I've seen artists and they've got a track with Tom, everyone's kind of like just sort of really kind of know that that's kind of what they know him for. Like
therefore,
Barney Artist is kind of the same in the sense that although he had I didn't even know, again, great Jack's a great bass player. What's his name now? Mr. Jukes is his name. He's the guy from Bombay Bicycle Club. I didn't realise this. I'm just there at the gig. I'm just like, there's a girl, one of my mates, she's there. I'm thinking, yo, you're not like a fan of Barney Artist. Why are you here? And then like, I'm like listening to the tracks and I enjoy the album, whatever. I just thought then this Mr. Jukes guy, he's kind of sound, whatever. I know Barney Artist. Barney Artist is like my type of music. I met Jack after the gig as well. Mr. Jukes. He shook his hand like, yeah, you're a sick bass player. I rate that. I'm having like a full-on conversation with Barney Artist. They both signed my CD, or whatever, and signed it for my puppy as well because Barney Artist shared my puppy on his Instagram story, and he remembered me being the guy with the puppy, which is sick. But then like I was speaking to Mojo Jr. I don't know if you know him. Yeah. And I mentioned it to him. He's like, wait, that's the guy from Bombay Bicycle Club. And I'm like, oh shit, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's incredible.
Tomish, yeah, I need to see him. That Loyal Kana gig was
Yeah.
cool as well. Because
Yeah.
again, back to the business cards. Don't know if I should call somebody out who said this to my business cards or
Oh.
not. Do.
Oh. How dare they?
Tracks, if you're listening now, Tracks from Asteroid Boys. I know you have problems with me and my business cards, and you've spoke about it before.
Oh.
As Phil's mentioned, they can be useful, and as I mentioned, they could be useful. But if you want to talk to me about it and come on the show, you can do that. That's fine. But Tracks, this is for you. It was a bit relentless there. We'll see who listens to the show now. But
Yeah.
I gave someone a business card at Loyal Cars gig in 2019. Last
Right.
year, when I was at Barney Artists gig, a guy remembered me because I gave him a business card 2 years earlier at a Loyal Cars gig.
Yeah. There you go.
So they are useful.
It works.
And obviously,
It
you
works.
got your first session job as well.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Just from one
card.
business card.
There
That was
you
it.
go.
Yeah.
I've probably got some
Absolutely.
naming actually. Yeah, I got the stickers. For those who can't see, I've got the Charlie J sticker here,
Oh, yeah.
and then I've got the Charlie J business card here as well. But
Perfect.
I had them made
Yeah.
ages ago. But honestly, I still think again, we've been saying that TikTok and stuff is it's a good platform, and
It is.
I think one of the artists who I know does it best. I think his name's Ken's on TikTok, and Layla McKenzie's his sister.
Oh, okay.
He's got like hundreds of thousands on TikTok now, and he's a sound guy as well. I met him. So he's got all these TikTok connections.
Yeah.
But and these people will be all over the world. But TikTok is the thing. Sometimes it's hard to get that close niche. Like if you want people in your own scene working in person.
Yeah.
Because despite having literally 100 times as many followers on TikTok as the next man, when he did his show, he didn't have 100 times as many people turn up, which is fine. Again, these people, he's got fans all over the world. He didn't have to worry about that.
Of course.
But when it comes to getting fans in person and people with that face-to-face connection, business cards, merch, CDs, they're all still useful. Shows, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've got my cards and I've got my stickers with my Instagram on.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing shows, I slap it on sort of my amplifiers and equipment, and just start chucking them at people. Really, it's great, but
Cool.
it works. It does
Yeah.
work. It really does.
It's just about being seen as well. You've got to be seen a few times.
Exactly.
Shows and stuff. But just before
absolutely.
before we wrap it up, though, is there anything you need to add or anything you want to say?
Oh, at the moment, so today I got some good news from an artist I work with called Feral Man, who's an indie folk artist, half Australian, half Welsh, and he's just got to #1 in Australia today.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
Fair dues.
Yeah. So I've been working with him for quite a while, sort of putting the live show and sort of recording bass for him as well. So that's going to be coming together this year, hopefully. But he's doing extremely well. Boulay, Mr. Boulay, who's just been signed to Sound Records for his next 2 releases.
Records?
No, Sound Records.
Oh, Sony.
Not Sony.
Oh, Sound Records, nice, cool.
Yeah,
sick.
For his next 2 releases, which I recorded bass for.
Nice.
And Hemez.
Big ups Hemez.
Yeah,
One of my favourite people.
Working,
proper sound.
working. Oh, she is, and she's working constantly.
Yeah,
just grinding, releasing, recording, and writing just non-stop. It's incredible.
This is a little preview for those people who are listening to the end. We're planning on doing a documentary about how her EP was made. By the way, that's what we've been talking about. Yeah, so obviously going to speak to Dan because he produced. I think did he produce all of it or just a fair bit? I think it might have been all of it. To be fair.
I think it might have been all of it, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna. That's the plan. If we can get that sorted, I know everyone's busy, but we might try and get a little documentary made for that, which would be cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So it's cool. But yeah, and where can people find you, Phil?
So at Phill Court Music on Instagram and Twitter. I haven't got TikTok, but probably will set that up today. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a website, philcourtmusic.com, which has got just everything, all the information in the world anyone would want about me.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's been great.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
But we'll probably leave it there. Thank you.